our friends who can't be here live today. So if you don't want to be on the recording, please don't share your screen. You can ask questions in the chat, and I will filter that to our guest speakers as needed. And then we do have a couple of questions that were submitted prior to the session that we will be asking our guest speakers. So thank you all for coming. If you haven't already, please go ahead and mute yourself. A little bit of background feedback, but that's perfect. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share this slide, but then you can see our three guest speakers here, larger than life. We have Bart Reese, Amanda, and Travis, and I'm going to let you guys go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself. And let's start with you, Bart.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lauren. And thanks for everybody able to join today. So Bart Reese, yeah, I'm a MBA student, MBA candidate at James Madison. I'm actually graduating in 2 weeks. It's been a fantastic journey, really excited about it. I come from the sales side, so my career is in government contracting, cybersecurity sales, and my focus in the MBA program was on the InfoSec side. So fantastic program, and definitely look forward to answering your all's questions and talking more about it during this session.
Awesome. Amanda.
Hi, Amanda Eberly Boyer. I am also a candidate to graduate in 2 weeks from the Executive Leadership MBA program. Travis is as well, so I'll just save him that. But we are all very excited to be at the end of this journey. I started my career in sales and then moved into the nonprofit space, spent about 11 years there, and now have jumped in for-profit event production management as the general manager of an event production company. So very timely in my career transition to be in the ELMBA program for leading and running and organizing an organization. So look forward to answering any questions, and glad that you guys are interested in potentially making that next step.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. And last but not least, Travis.
Hi there. Thank you all again for joining. I'll echo what Bart and Amanda said there. I graduated from JMU back in 2001 and had a little bit of a circuitous career path from there. So I've done all sorts of stuff. I was a high school history teacher, a golf pro, a professional ski patroller. I was a medic. I've been on a NASCAR pit crew. I got into engineering, and now I've led engineers for about the last 15 years. The company I work for now is in the stormwater management business, and my specific market is removing pollutants from stormwater, and I manage that from Texas to Maine. So again, looking forward to today's session. Thank you so much for joining.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to get right into this, and we might stay with that same order, starting with you, Bart, Amanda, then Travis. Why did you decide to pursue your MBA? So one thing, everybody's from a different background, lives in different places, has different undergrads. So what was your reason for deciding?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll start off by saying I never thought that I would go back to school. So I graduated undergrad back in 2012 from Mary Washington. Started my career. Career was going well, but like I said in my intro, my background is sales. And really, the reason that I chose to kind of take that next step and broaden my business acumen and cybersecurity knowledge was to just get, different perspectives related to running a business. So getting exposure and learning about marketing, finance, supply chain, all these things, and having more of an appreciation for it, more of an understanding within those different departments, so that one day, maybe I migrate out of the sales role into management, or possibly starting my own company. These are things that I felt, would be valuable for me to take that next step. And especially on the cybersecurity side. So I'm not technical, in what I do. I work with a lot of technical folks. My customers are highly technical. So, I know enough to be dangerous. But, one of the things that I've always wanted to do was to get my CISSP accreditation. And I feel like, given my work background, given the program and how they combine and weave in the InfoSec classes to the MBA program, I feel like I'm really prepared to go through the boot camp. As a matter of fact, JMU offers a CISSP boot camp that I'm going to start here in January. I think it's like an 8 or 9 week session, and then, they pay for the test afterwards. So really excited about starting that. But I feel like, as I mentioned, given my work experience, given the program and all the classes that I've taken, it's really put me in a great position, and it's helped me out, already in my current role. There's things I've picked up, and going through the program that I'm able to use and speak more speak more about intelligently. And overall, it's a really well-run program. And especially, you look at some of these MBA offerings, and they can be quite expensive. So for me, it was finding a program that was affordable, that was flexible, able to take online classes. And then the fact that they weaved in those information security classes really sealed the deal for me. And I'm so glad that I did it, and I would absolutely do it again. So does that answer the question, Lauren?
Yes, that was great. That was perfect. Amanda, you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, so I graduated from JMU in undergraduate marketing in 2009. I always knew I wanted to come back and get my MBA just because of my personal career ambitions and goals. But I wanted to make sure I spent time out in the career, in the workforce, learning. I felt it, especially for an MBA, it provides more value when you have real work experience behind just the institutional knowledge and the fundamentals. So it was always my plan to go back. I used a lot of things I'm too busy or whatever to push it off. So it wasn't until a mentor of mine, the chief operating officer at the nonprofit that I worked for, she promoted me into a leadership role and was like, I really want to invest in you. I really want to keep pushing you in your career. I really think you need to go and get your MBA. And so it took me down a journey to figure out which school was going to be the right fit for me. I really wanted to do an executive leadership program because I wanted to find a program that really focused on organizational leadership, goals, priorities, everything from information systems, supply chain, like Bart was talking about, but really had a higher focus on the people element of it, because that's my personal viewpoint on how you should manage staff is a people focused approach. And so with JMU's ELMBA program, along with the flexibility of both in-person and online, even before this whole COVID thing, they had a hybrid program, which was pretty great. It really fit into my work-life balance style, as well as a program initiatives that I was looking for. Plus, being a JMU grad already, I knew the culture fit was right for me in terms of a university that I wanted to go to.
Awesome. So close to being a double Duke.
I know.
And Travis also really close to being a double Duke. What about you?
Yeah, that one should have a matching pair here in just a few more weeks. I very similar. Although my undergrad really isn't at all linked to what I do for a living. So my undergrad was in social science and secondary education. Going back to get an engineering degree really didn't make sense because I've learned the technical side of the business as it pertains to the business that I'm in. And to what Amanda was saying, my career path has been more in the leadership direction for the last several years. So I felt like that was really my opportunity to grow was to really focus on my overall understanding of how large corporations are run. I work for a large publicly traded organization, and just filling out that leadership piece a bit. I considered it for years. It was funny. The day before I decided to do it, I was in the Charlottesville airport. I'd just gotten home from a business trip, hadn't been on my mind at all. Lauren, the big ads at Charlottesville pay off sometimes. I was sitting there and I thought, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it. And strangely, that same day, my wife met the person who was in Lauren's role previously. And they had a conversation. And Andrea said, I'm going to talk to Travis and tell him that we need to have this conversation. So those two things happened on the same day. About a week later, I was enrolled in the program and off and running.
Meant to be. That's awesome. So if you do fly through Charlottesville, we are still there. Travis, I'm going to start with you on this one and kind of work backwards. Amanda, sorry you're in the middle. But how do you balance school with work and family? A big question I get from prospective students is how many hours do you spend a week on classwork, which is really hard to say. Everyone's different, but I know you have a very full plate. So Travis. will you address this question?
Sure. So my wife and I have 4 small kids. They are currently 9, 7, 6, and almost 3. So knock 2.5 off of that. And that's where we were when I started. And that was part of the reason that I did it when I did. I realized that, my kids were only getting older. They were only going to get involved in more stuff. And I needed to get on the trigger if I was going to get this taken care of. How I managed it. Part of it was my wife and I being real honest with one another from the get-go about what was going to be entailed. There's no reason for me to mislead her or try to tell her it's all going to be okay. We had a lot of honest conversations about that, what that looked like. I also had conversations with the folks that I work for. And I have had some opportunities along the way to be able to use, sort of work time for study. Like Bart and Amanda, I travel a lot for a living. So a lot of what I did was on planes and in hotel rooms, so I would maybe walk out of the bar an hour before everybody else and knock some of it out there. And it takes some discipline and planning, no doubt about it. The good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it, it changes throughout the program. So there are going to be courses where, if I'm perfectly honest, I didn't do a whole lot outside of that 2.5 hours that we met on Tuesday or Wednesday night. It was a subject that I was comfortable in. The load was just a little bit lighter. There are other ones that from week 1, you're going to be counting the days, but because it's tough, it's outside of your wheelhouse. There's just more of a workload there. The good news is you can survive about anything for 8 weeks. And that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So it ebbs and flows. As I said, some courses, the 2.5 hours I was in class were the only 2.5 hours I committed. I'd say on the high end, maybe another 2 or 3 hours. If there was a project due, it might soak up a little bit more time, but it's manageable if you're disciplined and plan it out.
Awesome. Amanda, what has your experience been?
Yeah, so I don't have 4 kids at home. So I have a fur child and she is a handful enough, but I do travel a lot. So I split time in my current role. Half my time's in Virginia, half my time's in Chicago. So I'm on a plane and in a hotel room a lot. And part of my job is to be out and engaging people at events. So a lot of late hours for my job. But what I do is, and what Travis has said, is you look at the syllabus, you look at the schedule, plan ahead. I'm not quite as smart as Travis apparently, because there was a few classes and weeks that I was definitely spending more than 2.5 hours extra beyond class. So I am not necessarily a fast reader. So there is a lot of reading and textbook work, but if you can plan it out, planes are a great time to read for me, or listen to Audible. And the other thing I want to emphasize is that the professors understand that you are here because you want to be here. And so, I had a couple instances where I was, running an executive conference, and I literally was from, 4 o'clock in the morning till 2 a.m. the next day. And, it's, a week, but, it's still a huge time suck and tiring. And as long as you're upfront with them and let them know, hey, I'm not going to be able to make this class. Is there something I can do either prior to class or after to make sure I don't miss the content? They'll work with you. I never found one professor that did not work with me with my crazy schedule, or give me different work that I could do if I had to miss, an in-class assignment. So the biggest thing, and I think that was like the biggest difference, especially in the first couple classes, you're kind of starting to get used to the MBA program, is that the professors really get that you're working a full-time job. You're doing this on top of the rest of your life. They want you to succeed. They truly and honestly do. And they love learning from you as an individual just as much as, we get to learn from them. They love hearing about some of the things that our different organizations are doing. So over communicate with them on challenges, and they will work with you on it 100%.
Awesome. What about you, Bart?
Yeah, so a lot of similar things that Travis and Amanda just mentioned, just to give you some context. So I'm married. I got 3 kids. I have a 12-year-old daughter, 3-year-old son, and soon to be 1-year-old baby girl. So a lot going on. My wife owns a family restaurant, Italian restaurant that they've had for 17 years. So, life's crazy, life's busy, it's hectic. And like Travis mentioned, it was one of those conversations where, I had to be upfront with my wife and say, hey, I'm going to take this program. here's what I expect from a workload standpoint. It requires sacrifices, right? Like I've made a sacrifice, my family has sacrificed, but we all feel like we're making a sacrifice for a good cause, for a good reason. So as long as there's that mutual understanding, that part kind of takes care of itself. From the work side of the house, I travel a lot as well. So I'm in San Diego right now. I live in Northern Virginia. I'm actually flying to Vegas tonight, flying back to San Diego tomorrow, and then flying back home on Friday. So planes, trains, automobiles, it goes back to time management, right? We're all adults here. The professors treat you like adults. It's about, communication, right? In terms of workload, it depends. Like Travis and Amanda said, I mean, there's courses where I spent maybe 2 hours in a week, and that's it. There's other courses that I'll be honest, I spent maybe 8 or 9 hours because I wasn't well-versed in that subject. Like take finance, for example. I'm not a finance guy. So I really had to dive into it, get the most out of it. And that required some more work on my end. So it just depends on your background and what your experience is, given each subject. And the good news is that, there's a lot of group assignments. There's a lot of, group work, group papers, things of that nature. We communicate with each other, via text, on GroupMe, email. So it's just about budgeting time, right? If you're going to commit yourself to this program, it's an MBA program, right? You should expect a healthy amount of work. You're not just gonna, take this program and get, pass through the channels to get your degree. It's a two-way street, right? But I will say that the professors are much more understanding. They're not there to fail anybody. They know that, you're there because you want to be there, and they want to make you as successful as possible. So, all these things that Travis and Amanda had mentioned, same goes for me, but it's just about managing your time effectively.
And I would
Also,
also
just
add to that too, if you don't mind, Lauren.
please.
Part of the great thing about the cohort is you get to meet really awesome members of your cohort that become your team, become your friends. And where I'm with Bart, I'm terrible at finance. It's not my strong suit. Like put me in front of people any day and I'm a happy camper. But there is people in the program that do live and breathe finance and love it. And so through the relationships you build, you can lean on each other. And we did things, of study groups prior to finals and stuff like that, that helped each other out. And so you're like Lauren and the team does a great job of finding really rounded cohort groups that have different experiences and background. And I learned so much from my cohort teammates, and we were able to help each other out through the group projects and assignments and even just study sessions, that it makes it so much better. So,
And I'll say this too. So I hate finance. I'm not a finance guy, like I said. That professor that I had in that class was one of my favorite professors in the entire program. The guy was hilarious. He made it comfortable. Dr. Carl Ulrich. Carl was great. I mean, just fantastic. And he understands that not everybody's a finance person, and like he nerds out over this stuff, but it's not everybody's thing. So he just made it a fun environment. And so it turned out to be an enjoyable course.
If we have any financial people on the call, Bart and Amanda would be in your group. I did our innovation program, and I'm a marketer, and finance for me is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And you're definitely in it with the cohort as a whole. It is collaborative. You're not alone. If you miss something in class, or if your kid has, a fever and you can't log on, you can text your cohort and somebody else can, let the professor know on your behalf and, record it for you. That safety net, the cohort safety net for me was really important, especially for classes that were outside of my comfort zone. Okay, let's see. Amanda, I'm going to start with you. What's your favorite part of the program?
Oh, meeting the people in the cohort. We have such a close-knit group in our cohort. Like a lot of the professors would be like, "Are you guys always this lively?" I was like, "Yes, yes, we are. Yes, we are. You should see the chat that's on the side of our Zoom is just as engaged as the in-person conversations." I lost my job in the middle of the pandemic, due to, COVID downsizing. And one of my cohort peers literally called me every single day to be like, so what did you work on today? How's your resume? When are you going to get it over to me? Like, I have these connections. And that support from people that you literally met like a year and a half before, or maybe less than a year before COVID started, and that bond of what can we do? How can we help? Those relationships are going to transcend this program. And it really almost is a good supporting part to all the knowledge that you do gain from the classes themselves. So building off of the relationships in working on group projects or study sessions, or, you know, outside your own career. I had a video that I needed to get created for a thing for my organization, and I had been in it for too long. So I sent it off to a couple people and was like, give me feedback. And I got feedback right away. So the education part of it, great. I learned so much on it. I've applied so much on it on my current role, my past role. But as an extra bonus, the people that you meet, you know, that was a huge part of it for me.
Awesome. Bart, do you want to go next, and we'll let Travis take us home on this one?
Sure. Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down to one thing. I mean, the people are great. You know, the cohort members that you become really close with, like Amanda said. I mean, that's an awesome part of the program. Of course, the cultural awareness trip that you do is the capstone at the end. You know, experiencing another country and doing the company visits. I mean, that was a once in a lifetime experience that I'll never forget. You know, it was just a fantastic way to kind of conclude the program. But I'll also say I was pleasantly surprised with the professors and their demeanor towards the students. You know, when you think of college, you think of undergrad, and you know, a lot of us that are taking undergrad, we're just there because we feel like we're supposed to be there, like it's the right thing to do. And I know this has already come up and we've talked about it, but you know, they do really realize that you want to be there. You're treated as an adult. You know, they understand that, you know, we each have our strong suits, and really the professors that JMU has, their backgrounds are fascinating. I mean, there was several professors that I had, you know, that come from the government world, that come from the intelligence community world. So it was great to pick their brains on, you know, matters that related to me and my career. Just very knowledgeable about the material that they were delivering. So I found that part, you know, extremely enjoyable and refreshing and unexpected, you know, throughout the program.
Awesome. Travis, what about you?
Yeah. So first off, take the trip, no excuses. And if you're married, I'm going to tease y'all a little bit, take your spouse, if at all possible. It was just an incredible experience being in Germany with these folks 2 weeks ago. My cuckoo clock showed up today, by the way.
Oh, wow.
It was just a great experience. It was a great way to sort of lock a lot of these relationships in. You know, folks that you know, obviously COVID's made this thing strange for us, but it was just great to spend time with those people. And Lauren and Matt and World Strides are really intentional about who we meet with while we're there. And that's time well spent. It's not just to check the box. Oh yeah, we had business meetings. We met some really super interesting folks over there. So the trip was great. The people in the cohort, that still was my favorite part. You know, and coming in, you know, they said, well, there's a lot of group work. I'm like, doggone it, man, I'm busy. Just like, give me the assignment. Let me do the work. You learn so much from each other. You know, there are different styles. Once you recognize everybody around you is a bright, successful individual, they're going to have different approaches to stuff. And you learn so much just from working in those changing dynamics. You know, and it's funny because as you go, you start learning folks. So this class comes up and you're like, all right, I got Amanda and I got Mike and I got, you know, and I know them all, but we've not all been in a group together. It sounds cliche. You're going to learn so much from one another. That really was my favorite part.
Love it. Great answers. Okay, so we have 3 minutes left. So I'm going to lump our last two questions together. The last question is, would you do it again? And I think that this is a telling question because remember, these 3 people are in their final semester. So they don't have those rosy colored glasses on just yet. They're in the thick of it. They're probably going to write final papers tonight, maybe. So, and right before that is, you know, outcomes. Has it changed your career? Have you gotten a promotion? You know, obviously it's changed your perspective. You guys have all made that really clear in the way that you attack things within your careers, but what actual changes have happened. And Bart, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Yeah. And so I've talked a little bit about this already, but yeah, I've applied so much of what I've learned throughout the program in my day-to-day, work and activities supporting my customers. I did change companies towards the beginning of the program. And in fact, my previous employer was paying for me to take the MBA Infosec program through JMU. And for me, when I changed jobs and my new job, wasn't going to pay for it, it wasn't a deal breaker for me due to the financial, feasibility of it. In terms of a promotion, I did get a significant pay increase when I changed jobs. How much of that was attributable to the MBA program, I don't know. I will say during my interview process with our chief revenue officer, we talked a lot about an MBA because he himself had gotten one back in the 90s. So it was a nice little icebreaker. But I plan to take this to, like I said, further my career and apply it, as I climb hopefully that corporate ladder and get into management and maybe one day run my own company. And in terms of what I do it again, I think my first answer, I said, yeah, hell yeah, I'd do it again. And I'll caveat that by saying, if I had not done an MBA program yet, yes, I would do it again. That, like I said, there's some work, right? It takes some effort, but great experience, well-run program, financially, in my opinion, affordable. And I think everyone will get a lot out of it. I'm glad that I made that leap, and I'd highly recommend it for anybody interested in pursuing one.
Awesome. Travis?
So far as how it's changed my career, I'm more comfortable having conversations that would have been really out of my league 3 years ago. Might still be out of my league, but I'm willing to sort of step out there, and I feel like I've got more experience and knowledge now. I'm making more money than I have at any point in my career. I just gotten a promotion when I came into this job, but I think that the MBA has helped me flourish there. And there have been days when we literally were talking about something Tuesday night, and I applied it on Wednesday or Thursday that same week. So it's not just theoretical stuff sort of out in the haze there. Would I do it again? I absolutely would do it again. I would have done it earlier. There's an old adage that the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is tomorrow. So go ahead and plant your tree. Get going.
Love that. Amanda, take us home.
That's just Travis. He's so insightful.
He really is. I'm coming to your class. Tuesday night? Come on.
I would 100% do it again. I am very glad it's almost done and do not plan on going to get my doctorate anytime soon. But I 100% would do it again for many of the reasons we already said. The people, the professors, the relationship, the trip, make sure you go on the trip. Like, I got to know Bart during the trip, and I don't think I would have had that opportunity. And he's a pretty cool guy. So, So as I mentioned, I was laid off during the pandemic. I was leading a global team department in the nonprofit. I am now the general manager and run the organization that I'm at now for two co-owners. And to what Travis said, I would be in class and we'd be talking about information systems and how things are connecting. And I feel like, oh, that's a major problem we have at our company right now. Let me see what I can start applying the next day. And frantically writing notes and major whiteboard sessions after, and now integrating a whole bunch of things. But and I was even able to use my organization for some of our group projects if we were looking at implementing something and how we would do it, or doing a research analysis on a company and a decision tree on where should you open your next location. I was able to use my company, because we are a small organization, as our case study for a lot of it, which allowed me to then get some good ideas flowing into a small business that doesn't necessarily have the resources right now to bring in a full consultant to do it. So it's also looking at the opportunities, even if you don't run an organization, but you're part of a team or a group. The innovation and the creativity and different perspectives that you can pull from different classes you're in can help you regardless, as long as you're open to seeing where they can go. And so I found that regardless, I was able to apply a lot of it. I'm the highest position that I can be in my company without like deciding to be a third person that owns the company. But with some of our future plans, I only see my role expanding as our organization continues to grow. So
To grow under.
yes,
People will come under, right?
yes, yes. So.
Well, thank you all for being here today. Special thank you to my guest speakers. You guys are awesome. Everybody who has joined us, I will be in touch after this call with an application fee waiver as promised. We hope you apply. And then also, if you have any further questions, I am available. I went through the program. I don't know if you can see my degree behind this, but there it is. Let's see. Oh, never mind. Obviously not very technically savvy right now, but that's okay. It's back there. And so I'd be happy to talk from personal experience as well. And yeah, I think like Travis said, today's the day to start. I actually, when I was going through the application process, I met somebody who I really wanted to be in the program with me, and she did not do it. And she recently just started, and she's like, gosh, I wish I would have started when you did. I would have been done. So, if you're thinking about it, do it. We're here, we're real people. My title is a recruiter, but I am actually a student. So let's see, we can talk to you about it. And I look forward to getting to know everybody on the call a little bit better.
Feel free to LinkedIn me if you have any questions as well. I'm on LinkedIn, Amanda Eberly Boyer. Happy to answer any question.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. Thank you all so much. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, special guests. And I will see you guys on Saturday. Next week.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Woohoo! Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.